Charles went to the restroom. He'll be up in a minute. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Again, I'm Jeff. I could start answering any of your questions or comments. Does anybody have any burning questions? Yes?
How did you meet Charles and what made you decide to choose him as a topic?
I met Charles in 2015. I was working on a project called Passion is the Money, another documentary. And it also was about poets and artists, more of an ensemble portrait of poetry and the arts in the Bay Area, especially North Beach, the poetry scene here, and then in the East Bay, Oakland, Berkeley. Charles is one of the main people in Passion is the Money, and since we both live in the East Bay, I wound up having more footage of him compared to the rest of the folks. And I had so much footage that was not used in Passion is the Money, I decided that it would be great if Charles was up for it to make a film just to focus on his art, his life. So then he agreed to have me follow him around to various events and do more interviews, spend a lot of time together to make the God-given talent. Yeah?
How long did it take you?
Took quite a while. I mean, I was working from the footage from the previous film, and then trying to develop the themes and to really have a balance of Charles's personal life, philosophical approach to art, but also have him performing full poems and different readings and different venues, and trying to interview people about Charles as well to get kind of a full rounded portrait of his activities. As a timeline, we probably started pretty soon after Passion is the Money was finished, so around 2018. And then it was about a year until we had the final cut. And we had, I mean, just so much footage, you know, kind of sifting through it. And then even towards the end, doing some more interviews, I kind of saved the more personal interviews for the end. A lot of things about family and childhood. I waited to ask until I really knew Charles a little better. And Charles, come on down. Got a microphone here.
You want me to step up here?
You can step up here. You got a mic. Did you want to say anything first? Before anybody has any questions for you?
Thank you all for coming out and running into some people I haven't run into in quite a while.
You can take it off here.
Some of us we're still here after this horrible pandemic, so it's kind of nice to run into people you know and haven't seen for a while. So other than that, you know, thank you for coming out, and I'll just leave it up to Jeff and the questions.
Any questions for Charles Curtis Blackwell? Anybody?
Where can we see more of you?
Where can we see more of your art or your poetry? Where can we experience your art?
What was it?
Where can we see more of your art or your poetry?
Oh, I got an exhibit at the Hospitality House on the 25th. That's on Market, close to 6, and 5 o'clock, I think 5:30 in the evening. And feel free, me and another artist, Josephine, and so it'll be a reception at 5:30, 25th of August, Hospitality House. and I'm supposed to run my mouth too, I forgot. Poetry.
Do you have any poetry books today that people could maybe buy?
No, I don't have.
Sold out?
No. Actually,
Yeah.
actually, I'm working on a book, and this friend Sabora, she's helped me. I grabbed onto this company I shouldn't have hooked up with, Page Publishing, and so it's all ready and turn it in, and they said, well, we have to go through and edit, and came back with, let's say I had 10 mistakes, now it's got 20. So, and it's like, I wrote this book when I lived in DC, it's called I and Us. It's about 9 stories put together before DC became gentrification. And so, get good feedback. And matter of fact, Joy Jones is here. She helped me edit one of the stories too. She's a writer also. And she writes children's books, and she's visiting from Washington, D.C. So anyway, she helped me do one of the stories. And but all the rigmarole, I could write it. It would be a boring book if I wrote about all the trouble I had to go through to get this book typed up. Like, for instance, one lady, she was typing, and she put on each thing, she said, order number 21 for such, and then I says, hey, you put this on each page, I can't turn this in. Well, just, I can give you some white type tape over it, And then one lady, she was in the financial section, and I would show up because I was mopping floors, and I showed up in my beat up clothes. And I'm paying her $10, $20 a week to type these stories, and everything's okay. And then all of a sudden she split and wouldn't give me the manuscript, And I showed up, and these guys, they're trying to get connected with Wall Street, and I'm showing up looking like a bum. And finally got tired of me showing up. They called, got in touch with me, and said, and finally I got my manuscript back. I mean, what a bunch of rigmarole. And then I had to come back to California because my mother was ill, and so I left the manuscript and said, oh, I'll ship it to you. This was a different person, I'll ship it to you. I paid her, I get to California, oh, well, that's another $200. I said, hey, I paid, well, no, you owe another $200. So I had to get my friend in D.C. to kind of go and say, okay, hey, let's get the manuscript. I mean, God, it was horrible. So anyway, I didn't want it to go to waste. So anyway, followed through and did a self-publication. So, and some friends said, hey, may not be going, but let's keep going, try to make the best of it anyway. So I said, okay, So anyway, that's what it's called I and Us. Maybe you might find one at a used bookstore later on.
In the film, I asked you towards the end, if we're headed for chaos. Are we still headed for chaos? Are we in the chaos? At what stage are we right now? I'm going to use the words of another poet in San Francisco. I can't remember, we were all clowning around, and he said, they really need to put a fence all the way around San Francisco, and so when you come in through the Bay Bridge, you'll have a sign, now entering California State Mental Facility in San Francisco. And, it's like a lot of people are leaving the Bay Area because, they say it's lost its flavor. And I used to come to Oakland and hang out in San Francisco in the 70s. And it was fun. Well, the fun is over. It's not there no more. I mean, there's the business on everything. Sky priced out of pocket. People are driving people out bananas in the head from this greed that's running rampant. And then on the other side, it's some of the clubs, especially in Oakland. You're almost like scared to go to a club. The young ruffies will show up and bullets flying, and you got to hit the ground. All this stuff. It's not the same. So it changed, and I had to go to the Oakland police department the other day where I had to file a report, and it was worse than Hill Street Blues. I mean, no wonder why. I said, no wonder why Oakland's such a tragedy. You got the personality of the rudeness and the harshness of the guy that was. I thought he was going to take a report. I had to tell him, hey, look, man, I'm disabled. We got American Disabilities Act, ADA compliant. And I came to get some help. He was thinking, here's a piece of paper, fill it out. So finally, he got a little pissed off, put me on some phone. But, it was like, I don't know if any of you know about, there was this film that came out about, maybe five, 6 years ago. It was about Highland Hospital emergency room. I don't remember the name of the film. And maybe that's picturesque of Oakland, or maybe the police department's picturesque. And no wonder why they got so much trouble, because it's not just that department, but the streets of Oakland, the streets of San Francisco. So
you know, it's this rudeness, this harshness, this arrogant side that comes out. It's really sad because I tell people I was born in San Francisco, but I did not leave my heart there. So, and it's sad that society has turned into this kind of rough edge, you know, whereas, you know, courteous and polite and, you know, just being courteous and polite to one another. I mean, you know, it's like, tell young people, you know, you be polite and courteous, it can carry you a long ways, you know, but, you know, now, like humility can carry you a long ways, you know, so I don't know if that's, I know it's not taught in the classroom, but then again, you can still learn it. But I don't know if this society is interested in it because, I mean, you know, the idea of Wall Street is like, you know, I remember the commercial when I lived in D.C. on it was the CBS radio station, and it had advertising said, in today's world, business is war. Man, that's scary. And I think the advertisement was for the Wall Street Journal. Wow, that's rough, you know. And if you really think about it, I mean, like, you know, how much money is connected to, you know, the powers that be and defense, on and on and on, you know. Remember the one when Ronald Reagan was president, a toilet seat for the military was $600? Anyway, you know.
Any questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I've spent quite a bit of my life around a whole bunch of artists, most of my exes, that kind of thing. You can seriously move paint.
You can seriously move paint.
Oh, move paint. Oh, yeah.
It's impressive that someone would have that visual, because my ex was sculpture and painting, and people aren't used to 2D and 3D mixing. And you're 2D, oral, written, it's amazing how each seems to help the other. And I'm wondering if you ever worked outside in where you spoke about something and then wrote down from that what you had, and like recorded it, and then wrote down.
Well, kind of presented in the movie when I lost my eyesight. I was out of art for 7 years. And I thought it was all over. I did some pieces for the fun of it, you know. And this guy, a friend of mine, he said, "Why don't you file for that job?" And I said, "Man, I'm out. I wouldn't even know what to do." He shot the photos and turned them in. I became a Sacramento County Cedar artist. Remember, that was when Jimmy Carter was president, the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act. And so what I would do, it was like it looked like I was kind of almost getting burnt out of producing so much art back then, you know. And I kind of got caught in my pants now. I didn't know what to do. I was back with the pop art scene and conceptual art. And then finally I got into it. I was doing braille dots on canvas. Said, "Do not touch." I was doing 7-foot carrots. And so then I kind of started progress going from one thing to the other, you know. But I would get burnt out producing art, so I would, you know, pull back and start writing and collect a collection of poetry. So within me, I was like, one part was trying to feed the other. You know, the poet, the art, feeding the writing, and the writing feeding the art. There wasn't a lot of cultural stuff going on, especially in Sacramento at that time. And so it's hard to feed off of stuff, you know. So in the Bay Area, that's one thing you can still take in some other cultural events and kind of find some inspiration, be inspired. So I'm just assuming that's kind of like what you're asking, but within the person, you have to try to drum up ways to, you know, acquire some inspiration and then that, because you know, the funny thing about the arts, you can just go from on and on and on, from one step to the next, you know, like music, like art, like writing, you know, and you can come up with new ways of, I think there was what was the guy's name, Robert, I can't remember his name. Did anybody see the movie, The Great Debaters? Anybody see that with Denzel Washington was in it? That guy was a true story, and he came up with this thing of using punctuation in poetry, and you know, creating like an art thing in terms of poetry. the lines and then question mark or semicolons and all this stuff. Like this is a line of poetry, you know. And so, you know, you just go further and further and further, you know. But you don't want to go so far until it's kind of like I was telling my friend one time we went to this performance. It was 4 saxophones, and they were playing, I mean, heavy avant-garde. And to the point where we said, hey, you ready to go? Let's go. You know, this friend said, she said, wow, you know what? I feel like smoking a cigarette, and I don't even smoke. It just, you know, you go so far out there until, are you losing the people? Are you losing the, you know, the public, you know? I mean, so, you know, sometimes you just go, and at a certain point you want to be able to, you know, pull the public in and be able to be an encouragement and inspiration to the public too, you know, so.
Oh, we got 2 questions. Yes, Joy, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, now that you finished the project, if you had to do it over again, is there anything you would do differently or anything you would change?
It's a good question. I would say probably do more little like nature trips, to go in some like nature areas with Charles to interview him. Sometimes I think we did an interview around Lake Merritt in Oakland. It was kind of noisy. It was nice to have the energy, but it was the sound wasn't the best. So I would say more, maybe a few more beaches. We did go to Santa Cruz. We hung out there. But I think, you know, like Half Moon Bay would have been cool. And probably more footage of you teaching. I think that would have been really great. I had kind of limited time to do that scene. And lastly, I would say it would have been cool to do more events, even kind of like for the sake of the movie, like to say, hey, maybe we can do an event with you reading poetry, Charles, and then Greer on trumpet, somebody on drums, you know, try to kind of create an event almost for the sake of the movie. There's one scene like that early in the film where Charles is speaking. It's a library. It's like a pretty wide shot. You see the audience. And that was really an event for Charles's artwork. And then there was a poetry element. So to probably do more things like that, like for the movie, almost in a way, to kind of showcase music with poetry and teaching. I think those scenes always, when I see the film now, they always like really hit me hard, the music and the teaching moments. So yeah, I would say those types of scenes, more of that. Fanny, I think you had a question, right?
I have a statement.
A statement.
First, I want to state that you're a terrific filmmaker, truly thorough, very inspiring.
Thanks.
And Charles's life is a life well lived and very inspiring. And I have responsibilities, so I don't want to sneak out like a dog between his tail. I have some things to do in North Beach.
Sure.
But I think like individual worldviews from all different kinds of people put together a puzzle for the direction that we need to go on the planet Earth. And I see a lot of positivity in San Francisco. I see beautiful things every day, meet beautiful, inspiring people every day from all walks of life. Because I'm out there in that arena every day, meeting new people from all over the world and hearing their stories. And I think there is a long ways to go, but I have a lot of hope. I'm not living in the darkness, I'm living in the light. And I'm sorry to be losing.
No, that's fine, Dave. Thanks for your...
Thank you for the invitation to come down.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of Charles.
Fanny says she's really proud of you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to do and hope to see you soon.
I'll see you soon, Fanny.
Thank
Definitely.
you so much.
Thanks for coming. Any other questions? Last couple things. With your teaching experience and the theater plays, which is something I didn't really get to delve deep into in the movie. What are you... doing these days as far as teaching or writing plays? Is there any kind of progress or projects?
Just finished the play, and it's about street violence, gang violence and stuff, you know, and trying to get it typed up. And the other is I got recruited from the Center for Independent Living in Berkeley. Supposed to do a mural, and this is kind of wild. Since June, it was supposed to start in June. It's July, it's going to August. They still don't have a space. So I cracked a joke. I said, well, maybe we can go to China and do it on the Great Wall of China. I mean, I told my friend Arlene, we did some murals in Chicago, and she said, I ain't never heard of somebody who, they hire you to do a mural and they ain't got a wall to do it on. So, hey, whatever. So anyway, we find out what's going to happen, but that's where it's at now. maybe in a couple of months they might get a space, but yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at.
Thanks, Charles. Anything else you want to say? Any other events coming up people should check out, or you good?
No, that's all.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. It was great to be back here showing the film. Have a lovely night.